Folks, welcome to So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Saturday episode. We're doing a Real Housewives of Orange County episode 7 recap, and we're also going to be doing a shot-by-shot breakdown of the mid-season trailer that was released a couple days ago as well. Another pretty solid episode. I say this because I already recorded the mid-season trailer. This will probably be broken into 2 parts. So remember, listen to both parts. Just have it on in the background. Come on, just let me be a part of your weekend plans. Just there with you in the kitchen while you're cooking or out walking or trying to ignore your family. I hope I can share in on all of these special activities with you this weekend, but I hope your weekend is going really amazing so far. We just got real breaking news a second ago. Justin and Hailey Bieber have welcomed their first son, and they have named their son John Jansen Bieber. What? No. Oh my God. No, they named their child Jack Blues Bieber. Jack Blues Bieber. Jack Blues Bieber. Okay, so like I like Jack, and by the way, somebody pointed out already that I think me and Sophie we were guessing Bieber baby names in an episode a while back, and I think either I or Sophie said Jack. So wow, the psychic ability is just popping off in this podcast. So Jack Blues Bieber, but I was just like, wow, blues. Cause it's like, yeah, I'm a musician, blues. Like, what were the other things like Jack Reggae Bieber or Jack like Swedish death metal Bieber? But I kind of like the name Jack Blues Bieber, Jack Blues. What up, Jack Blues? Jackie Blues. JB, JBB, JBB. Yeah, anyways, very happy for them. That's exciting. It's got to be weird. Obviously, I'm older than Justin Bieber, but for the people that like grew up and that was like their dude, like that was one of their first crushes or loves, it's got to be weird when that person has a baby. So if any of those, are you guys feeling weird emotions about this? Because I feel like, we have this weird parasocial relationship with our celebrities, and especially, men, with their boy bands and like the Bieber of it all. There's like a very intimate connection that I think a lot of people feel like, getting the teeny bopper magazines and like staring at pictures of Justin Bieber and then to watch them grow up and have a family themselves. Now, this is so weird, you guys. And I just thought about this right now. I took my dad, we went to have breakfast today at where did we go? I love this place in the valley. God, I'm blanking on so many things lately. I think my memory problem is getting so much worse. I know I'm smiling about that right now, but what if I genuinely have a memory problem? Amazing start to the show so far, folks. Oh, it was Jones, restaurant called Jones in the Valley. They also have one in on 3rd Street. But we there and I saw Stephen Baldwin, Haley's dad. He was like just like walking by. I don't know if he had been at Jones, but he was walking by on the side street. And I was like, oh, Stephen Baldwin. Like, and I didn't think, and I was like, wow, I wonder if Stephen Baldwin at that point knew he was a grandpa. Wild. Wow. So yeah, now I wish I had paid more attention to Stephen Baldwin, but Stephen Baldwin is like having an Andy Dick sighting in Los Angeles or a Jay Leno sighting. You just kind of like get used to those kind of sightings. So I was like, yeah, Stephen Baldwin. So congratulations to the new parents. That's really, really exciting. Now, thank you guys for being with us today. My dad, Bill Bailey, I took him to the airport earlier this evening, and he is back in Phoenix, and we had such a nice time. We had a great time. We actually did, he was on the podcast the other day, and then on Patreon, we did like a 45-minute Q&A of patrons that had questions for him, and we had a really nice conversation, a really great conversation. And I've told you guys this so many times, and I swear to God, well, I'll put a timestamp if you want to skip right to the recap, is that this podcast has afforded me conversations specifically with my family that I've never been able to have those kind of conversations without a microphone there. And I don't mean that to be like, oh, well, that's sad. No, like, I just think it's kind of beautiful all the way around, is that, there's something when a microphone goes on where it allows me to kind of ask what I want and to be a little bit more open. And, I noticed with my dad and I noticed with my mom when she was here, it was the same thing. They would be open, and there is something, because I think sometimes in real life, it's sometimes hard to have these conversations or just kind of talk about the past and talk about memories. Maybe it's not for you, but sometimes it is for me. And I always find myself having these really amazing conversations that I will probably think about for the rest of my life. And I feel that's like one of the blessings of this. So I always say, if you're looking to have conversations, hard conversations, start a podcast. I think that's the way to go. And then just talk to whoever you want to talk. And I think you're going to have some really interesting conversations. So that's over on the Patreon. We also did a Vanderpump Rules recap of season 1, episode 5, where Sheena plays at the Roxy, her triumphant premiere of herself as a musician. Ariana is a background dancer, truly awesome. But we've had some great shows this week. We had Chef Charity Morgan, who has a new show on Max right now. And she was on. We did the Love Island USA reunion. We did a Salt Lake City trailer reaction. We had Sophie at the beginning of the week. So it has been a jam-packed week. We had Aphrodite, the pop culture psychic, which was a really fun episode. So go check out those episodes this weekend. If you haven't, there's plenty of me, but I think there's some really fun episodes that'll bring a smile to your face. But my dad left. And obviously the 1 year anniversary of Mom's passing is on Sunday, and he's going to be with my sister and my niece and nephew, and they're going to go to the cemetery and visit Mom, and then have dinner. And it was so nice to have Dad out here because, we've mentioned this, is that, like, it's just this past year for him. He said he just feels lonely a lot. Is that he has good friends, he has, us, but, like, at the end of the day, he's in that house by himself. And that's the part that always eats at me, because you don't want your parents or people that you love, you don't want them to feel sad. You don't want them to feel alone. And so it was really nice to have him here. Like, even when we weren't doing anything, it was just nice for him to be around us, and that was really exciting. So he went home, and then he texted that he got in okay, and then he said, I always overshare on this. He probably hates this, but he doesn't listen. He said, wish I was still there. The house is so quiet. And then he said, I'm sitting on the patio. The weather is okay. It's not like your patio. I sure got some good use out of it, because he just sat on this little patio and looked out. He said, the house feels very empty and I feel very lonely. Being with you guys for several days was really nice, even when we weren't doing anything. So it's understandable my house would feel lonely. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Pretty deep, huh? And then he did 3 of those crazy emojis of, like, with the thumb, with the tongue out, and the wink. And messages like those break my heart, because and I just wrote, I was like, I totally get it. I said, turn the lights on, turn the music loud, turn the TV on, just to have, like, sound, just to have that thing. And it is interesting, because I imagine this is what my parents at times felt for me or my sister, of just not wanting us to hurt, not wanting us to experience the ups and downs of life. I mean, mainly the downs, like, us getting our heart broken for the first time, or dealing with some kind of tragedy, like, they didn't want that. I imagine they would sit and worry about us, because I am sitting here worrying about my dad and just wanting him to be happy, or to have some kind of relief. And at the same time, I imagine they also thought is that you have to let your kids grow up. You got to let them live. You got to let them make their own mistakes and find their own way sometimes. And I always felt that I could. I mean, I'm still making mistakes to this day. God help me. But they always allowed me to go off and make those mistakes, but I always knew that they were there. I always knew. And I think that's part of the challenge, right, in dealing with death, is that one of those people is not there physically anymore. You can't call and hear their voice. You can't ignore one of their texts, that kind of thing. So it's that thing of like, well, you want to rush to your dad and be like, hey, don't be lonely, I'm here, waka waka, and try to make them laugh or something. And then you realize you also have to let them grow themselves and kind of try to figure things out and not be on top of them as much as you would potentially want to be. I don't know. Have you guys ever thought that? I know a lot of you guys have dealt with death and things of that nature, or even raising kids yourself. Um, it's a really interesting thing to think about. Anyways, enough of that BS. Boo hoo hoo. Anyways, this weekend, if you think about it, give a little thought to Becky Bailey. Pour one out for her. We miss her greatly, and I know she would love to be here talking about a show that's having an epic 14th season. Of course, we're talking about the Real Housewives of Orange County. This is, sorry, not season 14, season 18. Season 18. I keep confusing it with Jersey, which they just had their season 14. So, oh my God, season 18, episode 7. This is called The Gloves Are Off. So we always try to dissect what the show is going to be about based on the title. So if I was just to base this on the title, I would say, okay, we're getting nasty. We're getting nasty with some fights, right? This could be a fight between Alexis and Shannon. It could be a fight between Shannon and Tamara. It could be a fight between Emily and Gina. It could be a fight between all of these and more. So The Gloves Are Off kind of insinuates that. But then, knowing how they like to kind of be a little sly with their titles, I almost thought, are we going to see some sort of like boxing match? Are they going to do, because they'll always do that of like, if they're playing flag football, they'll be like, touchdown in the OC, like they'll be silly like that. So I thought maybe we were going to see some sort of boxing glove at some point, and that would be the double meaning, then the gloves are off, but we didn't get that. Now, the description that the cable company gives us for this episode, they say Shannon breaks down over the impending lawsuit with John. So that's the only sentence they give us to go by. Now, Shannon breaks down. That if they put a period right there, you wouldn't even know what season it was. You'd be like, that could be any season. Shannon breaks down. Shannon for 10 seasons has like broken down at some point. She is, takes a licking and keeps on ticking. She is constantly in but this season, especially though, your heart really does go out to her. And I do think that I can see sometimes people calling her a victim in other seasons, but this season, weirdly enough, I don't find that to be the case. The season where I would almost think it would make the most sense for her to play victim, I feel like she's being stronger than she ever has. And that's just such an interesting distinction when you compare it to all of Shannon's other seasons. Now, over the impending lawsuit with John, is that we had found out last week because Fun Alexis, or 2 weeks ago, revealed the $75,000 that John Jansen is wanting back from Shannon for a facelift and some walking around money. I think it was like 45 for the facelift and 30 for, just some bills. I don't know. But this was when they were in a relationship. There was no documentation of any kind saying that Shannon need to pay this money back. Now, I know you're thinking 75,000. That's a lot of damn money. What's going on there? I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. It's their business. It is their business. And the fact that John Jansen is trying to make this as public as possible, going so far as to have Alexis use it as her main storyline. This is where, like, even when I am mad at Alexis this season, because I really want to give her a fair shot, I still then have to remind myself at the end of the day, the man pulling the strings here is John Jansen. John Jansen is now leaving somebody else out to dry, and that's Alexis. Like, any goodwill that we had towards Alexis, coming back, I think is completely wasted on this storyline. And you almost feel bad for her in some ways because it's like a dog with a bone. She's so damn happy to be in love, to feel this feeling, to feel the girl boner of it all. She's just like, oh, the love, let the love wash over me. I've never felt John Jansen love like this before. Oh my God, Jim Bellino never loved me like John Jansen. Oh, our souls, blah, 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 And you understand that, but at the same time, I feel like Alexis is not thinking past that love into any kind of like actual future on this show. Like, she's going so hard on this storyline. And of course, she's encouraged by Tamrat. She's encouraged Like you can, that's Tamra. Like that's the way she encourages people. She encouraged Katie with that paparazzi storyline with Heather. She encourages these things, So Tamra, in a sense, is a little bit like John Jansen, where I feel like she encourages behavior and then lets people just kind of hang them out to dry. So we start the episode as we always do with scenes from previous episodes. Now, remember, we have two groups of ladies on separate cast trips. So we have Tamra's group. I call them the B team. They're over there in Big Bear, and you got Jen Pedranti, you got Tamra, you got the new castmate Katie Janela, and you have Fun Lexi, Alexis Bellino. I'm shaking my tatas. Woo! So they're at Big Bear. And then you have the other contingent. You have Emily, Gina, Heather Dubrow, and Shannon Bedore. Now they are in La Quinta because Gina, the real estate maven, is listing a house for a previous castmate. Yeah. One season wonder Elizabeth Vargas is back. She has listed her $9 million home with Gina. Gina, primarily an OC. I would believe like she deals with all real estate in the OC, and La Quinta is like 2 hours away from the OC. So it's a very interesting choice to have Gina list that place. And I think a lot of people have said, is this potentially Elizabeth Vargas's way of like, I'm still here. Hey, look at me. I'm still rich. I've got a Bentley in the driveway. So she is in last week's episode. And I just thought the whole time she was like, can I stay? Hey, would you mind if I pitched in? I could help with the scene. I could be a Shannon Bedore wrangler. I love chili. What's up? They didn't let her stay, but I imagine she's like hiding in the laundry room this entire episode because they're all still on these cast trips together, right? Now, remember, Shannon Bedore brought a big crock pot of chili, and immediately in this house that Gina is listing, everybody's spilling espresso martinis over the floor. Emily, Heather did that. Shannon, just like spilling chili. I mean, I just think that's I don't sell real estate. I mainly watch shows about it on TV, but even I know, why would I ever invite, if I'm a $9 million home, I have to imagine that's one of the biggest real estate properties that Gina has. And why would you ever be like, let's get a camera crew in here? Yeah. Stomp on all over here. Yeah. Bring in chocolate espresso. Yeah. The more chili, the merrier. Everything looks white in this place as well. And I just kept picturing just like Shannon with like chili hands, like laying on a couch with like just chili stains everywhere. Which, by the way, if I ever had $9 million and I bought that house, I would want those chili stains to stay, because I think that would be a great conversation piece of like, oh, I see that you're noticing the chili hands on my sofa. Well, fun fact, that's from season 18. That's Shannon Bedore's hands. And I think everybody would be like, oh my God, the Shannon Bedore? Yeah, she spilled chili all over this place. So that was happening. And then also we had a conversation where Tamra, doing what Tamra does, is just make mess, exploit mess, all of that stuff. She has a conversation with Katie in Big Bear saying that Gina set her up. Gina set her up with this whole paparazzi thing. I listen, I am very slow. You guys know that by now, but I still don't necessarily understand how Gina set Katie up. I'll go even a step further. I don't know if I care. I still, after many weeks, do not care about the paparazzi storyline. I feel bad that Heather's upset about it, but it also makes you just think that there is so much more here that we don't know about. Like, why did Heather take this so seriously? And I think we came upon a little bit of a semi-resolution last week when I was like, it must be more, not just the paparazzi, but that it was involving a rumor around Terry stepping out in his marriage on Heather. And that was the part that I think she was uncomfortable with. So sometimes these shows will do that, where you'll get just like the overview instead of the nitty gritty, and you got to kind of read between the lines. And that's what I'm thinking, because Heather seems so passionate about this. And that's also a very Housewives thing, to be very passionate about things that don't really mean much in the end. But this does seem to mean so much to her. So Tamara, of course, is telling Katie that she's being set up. And then we also have this kind of fight brewing between Emily and Gina because Gina has been told by Shannon that like it's just a mess. Is that it's pretty much Gina and Emily are real friends. Like you sense a real friendship there that is more than just when the cameras pick up their friends. You get the sense that they're truly in each other's lives. And remember, they came on to Orange County together. And I think, that's kind of like being branded by fire at the same time. And they weren't initially liked by Shannon. Remember that? And they kind of like clung together and I think have a very real friendship that I think it seems like really nice. Like I really think their friendship is very real. But then I think when cameras pick up, all these other friendships come into play, like Gina's relationship with Heather Dubrow, and now Emily's relationship with Tamra. And I think there's a little bit of a mutual jealousy there, but Emily has been told by Shannon Bedore that the Gina Heather thing, and that Gina said that Emily is very far up Tamra's ass. Which, listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Tamra. I'll say it. And once again, I do realize that Tamra is necessary. I think it's just the glee in which she takes her role on this show. I said last week, and I think I've been proven to be right, is that we start branding her the villain because it's almost comfortable for us to put a name to her behavior. But in some ways, that almost gives her a license and it gives her an excuse to behave this way. I think she then is like, well, that's what I'm being. It's not me naturally. I'm a villain. I'm playing a role. And I think that almost lets her off the hook a little easier than she should be let off the hook. I just think she truly is nasty when the cameras go up. And I think she really enjoys it. And then I think she uses it as a crutch or an excuse, being called a villain of like, oh, I'm just being a villain. I'm just saving the show. And I was like, no, that's actually you coming out, but we've just learned to label these kind of characters on shows like this. And I sometimes want to see Tamra face a little bit of the music or face a little, have a little taste of her own medicine. I just still don't understand how there has not been some season or some conversation where every one of these ladies who's had the same experience with Tamra has not said, like, even at a reunion where it's like, hey, we all talked and we realized you do the same shit every season. And for some reason, we completely buy into it. In fact, at the end of this episode, Shannon and Tamra hug. And I was like, Shannon, have you learned nothing? Are you like, Tamra is one of those people that is just uniquely talented where they will lie to your face when they are collecting information to be like using against you behind your back. And then she says no. And then she kind of seems so caring in those moments that it must be so believable that nobody ever fully just says no. Like, I mean, it's just weird. They resolve everything so easily with Tamra. And then other characters, they will hold a grudge for a lifetime. I think it's a unique gift that Tamra has. I'm trying to find ways to speak positively about Tamra, but man, she makes it hard. And I guess that's the fun of watching the. We also have scenes with Alexis Bellino telling the other ladies about the $75,000 and that, the 45 for the facelift and then the, 55, then 30 for the loan, which by the way, Alexis uses the word loan, but there is no paperwork in place to prove that this was a loan. I need some sort of documentation. I mean, this is the Housewives. You need actual receipts. And Alexis, these last couple of episodes of like, I brought the receipts. I'm fun, Lexi. Receipts aren't fun. Financials are not fun. That's not fun, Lexi. Fun Lexi is I drink Red Bull at 8 a.m, which she does in this episode, folks. She really is fun, kooky Lexi. But I said this last week, and I even feel it stronger this week, is that it feels like we are setting up a case for blackmail against Shannon more than anything else. Like it just feels like it's crossing this weird line of to reveal a little bit of information about this, like the videotape, the cameras that John had, the footage he has of Shannon that could potentially ruin her life. And I'm like, wow, we've now taken it way beyond where it should go. I've said this since day one of this reunion. This is not the Real Housewives of John Jansen. It's the Real Housewives of Orange County. I do not care to make John Jansen a continued storyline. This guy must get off on attention so much. And it's that attention where it's like, I don't like attention. If you don't like attention, do not date somebody on the show. Do not tell them to go. Do not give them permission to go on the show. And the story keeps changing. I did an episode a couple of weeks ago where I broke down the fantastic interview that Carlos King did with Alexis Bellino, where John Jansen made a guest appearance. And Alexis Bellino told us in that interview that John offered to pay her salary that she would get for Orange County if she didn't do the show. And then this week, it's time to change. Oh, it's a very special time in a young man's life when his voice changes. I don't know what is happening to my voice. But anyways, this week she did an interview with Bryce Sander for Entertainment Tonight. Bryce, a fantastic reporter that walks the Housewives beat very well for Entertainment Tonight. And Alexis said, I'll tell you something else that I haven't said before. John offered to pay me double the salary to not do the show. Are we just making up things out of thin air? Like, I'm starting to just full on not believe Alexis, and I hate that. But like, how do you say offer to pay me the salary, and then all of a sudden in a new interview you said, no, you know what? By the way, it was double. You know what? Now that I think about it, it was triple. It might have been quadruple. And John just gave me a check and said, you fill in the blank, right? No. How do you keep coming up with new information? And I don't believe that for a second. I think John, for some reason, really has a hankering to win over Bravo fans. It's the weirdest phenomenon. I mean, you think Housewives are bad wanting to get back on the show. I mean, we've never had it with House Husbands where John Jansen's like, let me have a crack at this again so they can see the softer side of John Jansen. Like, what? Lick your wounds and go away. Date Alexis off camera. I mean, go be happy. If this is truly unique, if you are feeling each other like you've never felt people before, go do that off camera. I don't like go have the Lexi and Johnny show. Go do a spinoff for like WeTV or some bullshit. But I don't want chocolate in my peanut butter. You know what I'm saying? I just want straight peanut butter. No, I do not need this whole storyline at all, because Shannon obviously made a brutal mistake that cost her so much, and she's having to face the music. But what you're doing with this storyline is making Shannon a martyr. You're making her be so much more sympathetic and empathetic in the viewer's eyes, or we're empathizing with her so much more because of this storyline. If this storyline was not there, Shannon would probably have to really deal even more so with the actual events that she directly caused. But now we have this other thing, and it just becomes too much. It becomes even too much for the viewers. And that's why I just don't know if they really thought this out, because it seems like I almost kind of bought into Alexis and like this, I prayed about it. I saw a psychic about it, told me to do the show. My mom, rest in peace, told me, from up high to do the show. And I got to tell you, if I'm ever able to talk to my mom again, I think she'd tell me to quit the podcast. Like, just stop doing all of this bullshit. But Lex's mom said to go back on Orange County. And it's like, wow, thanks a lot, Mom. I'm getting my ass handed to me by all the fans. They don't seem to like, and this is where I think ego, and this is what makes somebody an interesting housewife, is that their ego always kind of thinks it's going to be different. I almost think that Alexis thought, with the power of my love for John Jansen, I'm going to come back on and show him a season that's amazing. I think it was said in an interview that she was shocked, or she's very saddened by the response. And I'm like, dude, did you not think this through? Do you not even because then it makes us go back and watch old episodes of Alexis when she was initially on and go, oh shit, there were a lot of kind of interesting moments where I forgot she really wasn't a fan favorite back then as well. I mean, she's part of the overall Housewives, so we show respect and excitement, but there was a lot of wacky shit back then as well. And it just makes you pay more attention to that, where you're like, oh, I guess we really don't change that much after all, do we? So we have a bunch of scenes over these past couple of weeks where even driving to, Big Bear, Alexis is like, I'm going to clear his name. Oh, it's going to get cleared up. Oh, And then at the Tamara's dungeon, she's like, Johnny's ready to talk. Johnny is ready to talk. Like he is some like in witness protection or something of like, we've got John Jansen on a wire. He's ready to spill all the beans about Shannon Bedore. Nobody cares if John Jansen talks. I mean, deal with your lawyers and deal with Shannon, but like, what? We're not asking John Jansen to talk. And then it's revealed that he has videos at the night of her DUI. And Tamra already knew this information because Tamra, that's what she does. She's like a squirrel with a nut. She just collects nuts for somebody's eventual downfall, right? We start the episode with the sun coming up over La Quinta and Miss Shannon Bedore, an angel. We see her slumbering and awakening in one of Elizabeth Vargas's bed at her La Quinta home. And she's like, John Jansen dreams. And then we see Heather waking up in her bed, throwing off her sleep mask. She has like pillows all on top of her. Emily's already in the kitchen, just opening cupboards and just like with her, Hulk like strength, just ripping cupboards open, just, throwing them off the hinges. Gina's up there already doing dishes and, surveying the mess. Now, Shannon Bedore opens the curtains in her room and breaks one of the curtains. This is what I'm talking about. Just like, like Shannon is so damn klutzy. It's really interesting to watch. Like, I feel like I'm a little like this, but she like rips open a curtain and the curtain immediately breaks. I'm like, there's $1 million. There goes now it's an $8 million home, but that's just how Shannon wakes up. I'm like, yeah, I broke something else. And then we cut over to the dungeon at Tamra's place in Big Bear, the house that Hate built. And we have just like the remnants of a party last night. Glasses, champagne, food, their bear costumes laid out all over the floor. And we get into the middle of the room and all of the housewives are naked, writhing on top. No, wouldn't that be amazing? A saxophone player comes out. Housewives making love in Tara's Big Bear place. No, we see Katie making coffee on the Keurig machine. And people are just waking up here. Shannon comes into Lexi's room and it's like, Chatty Cathy's over here. Good morning. And Jen Pedranti and Alexis are in the same room on these little tiny twin beds. And they were like, oh, we couldn't sleep, but it was so good. And Tamara's like, we laughed, we cried, we talked shit. No, we laughed, we cried, we talked shit about Shannon Bedore. That's what you should say. And Shannon goes, a lot went down. And Lexi goes, a lot of it, but we laughed. We laughed is the most important thing. We giggled. We giggled like school kids. And Shannon's like, we did laugh. And then we get a flashback to one of the most disgusting things I've seen on television. And that is Jen Pedranti putting her pie foot, a foot with pie all over it, into Tamra's mouth. And I think, normally great. Let's, shut her up a little bit. But Tamra, in full Carrot Top mode is like, like, oh, I'm going to play along with this bit. And it's like licking the toes. It's too much. And it reminds me of that initial bathtub scene with her and Eddie back in the day that I've talked about many times is being one of the scariest things committed to film in life. So, but this is, they laughed. They were just having fun. And Jen Pedranti told Alexis in this scene, like, don't be a prude over there, Alexi. You're banging 4 times a day with Johnny J. And Katie's like, yeah, your vag needed a break tonight. Your vag needed a break. Is that a shirt? Hey, give your vag a break tonight. That's a great shirt. Anyways, we're back in the room and they're all saying, I really like Katie. She's a good girl. And then, Tamra says, how are we going to convince Heather Dubrow to like Katie? Well, I don't know, Tamra. Maybe you don't fucking throw her under the bus and encourage her to like reveal paparazzi texts like you did a couple episodes ago. This is what I'm talking about, where Tamra is able to escape any kind of justice because she's like, oh, Katie's great. How are we going to get Heather to like her? I don't know. Maybe don't set her up for failure every chance that you get for a storyline. But Lexis is like, yeah, Heather is hard. I've been a housewife. I've been with Heather. I will say, I in my experience, Heather has been hard. Now we cut back to the La Quinta, and Heather Dubrow she has like a machete in her hand, cutting these like huge pineapples, and she has like the little eye patches under her eyes, and Gina's like, oh, I lost my coffee. Where's my coffee? I've lost my coffee. And Emily's like, it's over there. And Gina says in a talking head, there's something unresolved and brewing between Emily and I. And it's honestly, it's like the most uncomfortable feeling for me. Like, I hate it. I mean, is it as uncomfortable as loaning out a property that you are selling to a bunch of kooky ladies? I don't know. Emily in a talking head says, listen, I know how reactionary I am. And if I say something immediately, it'll just be mean and aggressive, which is what she accused me of being. So I'm trying to like think about it before I speak. You can tell Emily's a lawyer. I'm thinking I'm playing chess. I'm playing chess right now. Now Shannon is in her full glory. She's making some sort of, it looks like weird popovers or something. I don't know. It's like these two skillets with these like bread like things in there. And Shannon's like, be careful, everybody. Do not touch the pans. I have taken my hand and not thought and I've burned the entire hand when I've done it. So don't you guys do it. Okay. And then Heather's like, are you allowed to put those on this countertop? Which I'm like, great, let's just ruin the property more. And Shannon's like, yeah, you can put them on there. And then I shit you not, you guys, guess what? She grabs the handle. She grabs the handle and burns herself after she just warned everybody. And Shannon's like, I just did it. Oh my God. This is the kind of wackiness I'm talking about. She breaks the curtain already. She burns her hand after she warned everybody not to do it. And we have Gina saying one of my favorite lines of this episode where she goes, that was so bizzozo. I've never heard that in my life. And I think I'm going to say it for the rest of my life. That was so bizzozo what you just did, Shannon. Oh, that was so bizzozo. That's great. This weekend, you guys, if something weird happens, goes, that was so bizzozo. That was so bizzo. I love how that sounds. We cut back over to La Quinta, and this is a wild moment. Is that Jen Pedranti asks Alexis, in the morning, are you a Red Bull over coffee kind of person? Because we see a couple pills laid out with like a sugar-free Red Bull that Alexis is crushing in the morning. Like that's a choice, man. Like, I understand if you're in your like 20s or your teens or your, 1 through 10, but like, in your 50s or like, I mean, you're crushing a sugar-free Red Bull in the morning. Like, whoa. And Jen Pedranti seems like she's just sometimes just kind of in the cloud. She's even like, wow, in the morning, which by the way, Jen doesn't have a lot of room to talk because her fiance, Ryan, he loves Malibu and Diet Pepsi, which is also another choice to make at a certain age, and like, yeah, are you a Red Bull over coffee? And Lexi goes, I don't know what's going on. I might even be premenopausal. I'm on my period a lot and I'm off and I don't have a period for 2 months. Some of it might be stress for my mom. I don't know. And Jen Pedranti even goes, the question was, you're a Red Bull instead of coffee. Jen Pedranti's like, yeah, you didn't really even answer my question at all. And in fact, you got us all scared that John Jansen might have gotten you pregnant. Because you're like, sometimes I don't have my period for months at a time. And sometimes I'll have it every day for a year. Like, it was wild. She was not answering the question. She's like, yeah, that was, I don't know how it went from Red Bull to menopause. And Lexi's like, oh no, that's what I'm saying. I used to love coffee. For the past 2 months, I don't. Sorry. I'm fun. I drink Red Bull. That's how fun I drink now. Shannon Bedore can't drink no Red Bull. John Jansen's like, Shannon never drank Red Bull. And he's like, you're so sexy. You're drinking Red Bull. Fun, Lexi. Anyways, Tamara's like, what the fuck is happening, Alexis? And Jen's like, do you drink Red Bull or coffee? And they're like, what's happening with your period? And Alexis is like, we're laughing. We're giggling. Once again, we're laughing. Katie in the Talking Head says, the best thing about being with Alexis is that you don't ever have to have any kind of thought about your conversation. She just has something to say all the time. And Tamara's like, don't ask her any more questions. Don't ask her. A lot of yelling. This is a very loud household. I would do well there. But that's also great from the newbie of like, yeah, Alexis, she just keeps going all the time. Now, back over in La Quinta, they're all outside enjoying their breakfast. We find out that Heather Dubrow hatcheted all those pineapples so they could have pineapple drinks out of actual pineapples. That's wild. You know, Shannon goes, look at how beautiful it is today. And Heather goes, this has been really fun, you guys. I mean, I thought we were going to have fun at Katie's golf event, but I didn't have that much fun. And then that last dinner sort of went south. And Shannon goes, I had zero intention to bring our friend group into the fact that John Jansen is threatening to sue me, saying that I owe him money. And Emily goes, I will tell you just from the beginning, though, from an optics standpoint, Gina's like, it didn't look good for you. And Emily's like, it didn't look good for you, Shannon. And Shannon goes, and that's upsetting to me too. And Emily's like, and honestly, just let me finish. It made you look like you had been dishonest about the relationship. And Shannon's like, do I have a stacks of my credit cards and canceled checks that prove and show that I paid for stuff? And Gina's like, we believe you. It's insane, you guys. It's insane, Shannon says. And I hate going into this tit for tat, but we might need to look at some of these canceled checks. If Alexis and Johnny J are going to play like this, maybe we need to get those canceled checks out. And I love it. He's like, okay, it's like, okay, here's one. Here's a receipt. This is when we saw Oppenheimer. That was $30. I paid for that. Here is when I bought you those khakis at Banana Republic. That's $70. We're going to save that receipt. But I'm like, what is, but I don't know. I find it interesting that they're like, oh, the optics look bad. I'm like, yeah, the whole show as a whole always looks bad for everybody. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how it made her look completely dishonest just because I don't know. Like, I guess they're saying because Shannon told them all along she was paying for everything, and then this happened, and that kind of went against what Shannon was saying. But Shannon is saying, no, the first couple of years I paid for everything. So there is a world in which you almost think, oh, maybe that's why this money was given because of all the money she had shelled out over the years in that 3-year relationship. Now, in a talking head, Heather Dubrow says, Shannon's always said she paid for every single thing. He never paid for a plane ticket. He never paid for a meal. Here's the problem. The whole basis of why Shannon's been upset all these years is, was he really committed to her if he couldn't even pick up a meal? In the scene, Gina goes, we know that you are paying for a lot of stuff at the beginning, but we didn't know that was his attempt to reimburse you, right? Now he's been, and Shannon goes, that was my understanding. Right, I understand that, but nobody knew that. None of us knew that. Heather in the talking head goes, this is why you always have to wait to hear the defense, because the prosecution tells a very good story. Shannon is the prosecution. I will say it would be more interesting if this was housewife to housewife in terms of the, prosecution and defense, but having a boyfriend or a husband, it's less interesting in some ways because John Jansen has been a side character that is now being brought up into the light because of Shannon and mainly because of Alexis. And then Shannon's like, well, I just want to give you an example. It was his oldest daughter's birthday. And I thought, let's go on our family vacation, right? We went up to Los Angeles. I paid for 4 rooms at the London Hotel for the weekend. That's trip close to 10 grand. I let him order porn on the TV. Rooms, no. She just says that trip is close to 10 grand. Also, is it wild a family vacation like Orange County to Los Angeles? I mean, it's like an hour away, but still, what about Tahoe, where you can go to Wolf, Lisa Vanderpump's sexiest restaurant? But anyway, Shannon's like, that's how generous I was. And he's telling me that I owe him money. She starts crying. And Emily's like, were you trying to buy the relationship? Were you trying to buy his love? And Shannon's like, no. And Emily's like, she was in love. She was just in love. And Shannon goes, I enjoyed doing that. And Gina's like, and she wanted a family. She wanted the family. She wanted it all. She wanted everything. She wanted the white picket fence. Heather goes, when you're in a relationship with someone, it feels like it's all in the same pot. Oh, just like, yeah. Heather's like, all of Terry's money from bots is in the same pot. Heather probably, not her fault, but like financial conversations are, it's got to be very interesting for her because like $75K is a lot for all of us, but for her, it's like that's like a roll of toilet paper, like, oh, really? You're fighting over $75K? Okay, poor. Shannon goes, the men's egos are attached to their wallets. So I wasn't going to confront him, I just thought I'm good. I'll just pay for it. I've got ship station money. I had the food service where I did the salmon and cream cheese dish. Heather goes, can't you force like mediation or something? I am already paying my attorney to deal with this, Heather. And Emily goes, maybe you just cut out the attorney and just send him an offer and say, I'll give you 30 grand. I don't want to, Emily. Shannon explodes. I'm telling you, like out of principle, I don't want to give him $1. Gina goes, I feel bad. I feel bad. It's just such a freaking slap in the face to me. It really is a harsh situation. I mean, she's already dealing with the consequences of her own actions. And then this relationship ends, but now she has to pay for this relationship again and again and again and have Alexis. I'm just telling you, this is unique. This is unique to the normal Shannon. It's above and beyond. Shannon always looks like she's being put through the ringer in previous seasons, but this time it's like, damn, man, how do you get up in the morning? And Emily's like, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. And she's like, oh, Shannon, I feel so bad for you. And she's, dabbing her tears. And she goes, we support you and you will figure it out. And whatever you need, we will be there for you, Shannon. And Shannon's like, thank you. And I was like, and your mental health is worth more. It's worth more than anything. And she's like, you don't understand how overwhelmed I am with love right now. Like, you guys are so kind. This is what you do need is kindness. And I'm sorry, I don't think she's trying to make them feel bad, but I do think she does need support. I'm sorry. Sue me for saying that. And Shannon goes, and that's why I feel like I don't deserve it. I'm so grateful. I mean, and sometimes when people make that big of a mistake, being able to be there for them, all joking aside, is sometimes gives them a little bit of hope when all hope is gone. Because no matter how much we joke about Shannon, how much we joke about this show, it's a very dark hole what she put herself into. And I'm sure she beats herself up again and again and again. And all of the shit she said in the past, stuff about Gina, it probably haunts her. And she, probably going into the season, wondering who would support her, if at all. And so it's really nice. And I hope she never forgets these moments and can pay that forward in other seasons. And also, in contrast, it also shows how bad of a friend Tamra is, even though there is so much history there and there's so much that we don't know, allegedly, it still comes off so piss poor. Because this is beyond reproach what has happened to her because of her. Also, I was just thinking really quick about Gina. They're in the La Quinta place. If Gina's just letting everybody come film there, why doesn't she let Travis and her family just live there? You don't have to have Travis move out. Just move into the La Quinta place while you're selling it. Going like, sorry, it's been on the market for 2 years. I don't know why no one's not buying it. I've done so many showings, and just don't show it at all. And Elizabeth Vargas will probably just let you keep staying there. Gina's like, well, maybe you'll come back on the show next season and it'll be a storyline, if you let me keep selling it. Like, I feel like that's an option, right? But anyways, Shannon keeps saying, I'm so grateful. I really am. And now she's fully crying and Emily's hugging her and like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't eat in Shane's truck, that kind of thing. And Emily says, it's going to be okay. In a talking head, Shannon goes, I am going through so much in my head and living by myself. In the past, I've confided in Tamra for most of it. So the outpouring of support and kindness that I'm getting right now, I didn't expect this. Emily says, I just want her to do whatever it takes to get him the fuck out of her life. Yes, that's what we all want. And that's, again, what I'm saying is that's why it's so fucking wild that Alexis is back on this show. Because how can you get somebody out of your life completely when their new girlfriend is filming scenes with you and being fun Lexi? Emily goes, I'll write a check to him. Shane's like, the hell you will. By the way, Heather says, I want you to sign that check. Shannon, go fucking choke on this Bador. Heather, could you loan Shannon the money to give to John Jansen? I think that would be a very nice show of support. Or we could take some of that paparazzi money. If you're tipping them off for paparazzi photos, we could take that. We give it to Shannon. I'm joking. I know you didn't call the paparazzi. Just making a. And then Heather at the table's like, I'm excited to play pickleball today. And I'm like, oh my God, you sound like Randall Emmett or Freddie Mellencamp. Like this pickleball stuff. I've never played it, but my God, everybody wants to play pickleball now. And then Heather just gets up, and the rest of the girls, Gina, Shannon, and Emily, are like, Heather didn't even pick up her plate. Like everybody, like Heather's just used to like leaving and having like whoever works for her pick up, which is very Heather Dubrow. And now we're in Big Bear, and Jen Pedranti and Alexis. Jen is like, oh my God, yesterday was so fun. And Alexis was like, it was the most fun. More fun than Shannon Bedore could ever be, even the car ride was fun. We formed, and then Jen Pedranti's like, yeah, we formed a Bible study and we established an OnlyFans page for me. Yeah. And then we have a flashback to the night before where Shannon is directing a somewhat sexy photo shoot with Jen Pedranti, who is laid out or splayed out on a pool table. And Tamara's like, now take the shoulders off and show the boobies. I'm trying to make you fucking money. I am your manager. Just Tamara doing that screaming thing. And Jen, like, just like putting her body in the shape of a pretzel. And Tamara's like, yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's get a video with you and Ray J. Shake that tail. Shake that tail. Yeah, furries are going to love this. Anyways, Tamara says, I'll be your first customer, but I want 15%. Hey-o. Katie says, Jen, did you ever get any resolve about your ex, Will? And we get a flashback to a scene where Jen is saying, this is Will's day with our kids. He has to pick up from school. He's always late. In this scene, he says, yeah, he got Gray to volleyball last night, which I guess is their son. And he took the kids to dinner. Everything gets worked out. It's just that I wish Will and I and Laura, which is her, his new lady, could sit down and work things out. And hey, we got these 9 kids between us. Laura texts me. Will and Laura, in a talking head, she says, have been together for 3 years, I think. And I'm like, oh my God, who's Laura? Laura was a friend of Jen Pedranti's. She was an interior designer when we were married. When I found out that my husband was dating one of my friends, I lost my mind. I was taking Grace into school, she says, and I saw Laura that morning sitting in her car. I rolled the window down and I was like, da 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 da. And then after I got my cool, I was thinking, it's Laura and you love her. Why can't we just communicate? So that's wild. So her interior designer ended up dating her ex, and she lost her shit about that. I'm guessing this is obviously after they were split, but yeah, interior designer is now dating her husband. But then she was grown up enough to say, you know what? You like Laura. You like her interior design work. Now, Tamara's sitting there listening to this whole thing, just like filing this away to use against Jen at some later date. But she's like, yeah, why can't we just communicate? So it doesn't have to be hellfire. And she says, I wish we could all let pain and hurt go, because at the very least, we could co-parent all these kids way better than we're doing. And Tamara says, where is Will living with Laura? Jen says, well, he has an apartment, but like the kids had family dinner over at Laura's the other night and they played games. And, and Tamara's like, did you see it on his Instagram? Did you see it? And Jen's like, well, I'm blocked on Instagram. I didn't say anything. And Tamara goes, I'm not. And has her phone out. I'm not, but I will be now, because I'm going to put a lot of eggplant emojis over, like Tamara, of course, already. Like this is Tamara's whole bit. This is Tamara in a nutshell of like, I'm going to spy. I'll show you. Hey, I love mess. So she pulls up the video of the kids over at her ex's, and we hear the kids like playing, and Jen's like, wow. Tamara, you can just like, you don't feel good now, do you, Jen? Hang on to that sadness. It feeds me, and it feeds Eddie as well. Alexa says, you're getting emotional right now. What's going on? And what are you feeling? And Jen goes, it's just so hard. And Alexis is like, I know, but what are you feeling right now, babe? And Jen says, it's just been so long and so much. And it's just, it's like you're supposed to get divorced and hate this person, but I don't hate him. In a talking head, she says, I did love my husband a lot. And it's so sad to me because in this video, Will's like big and full of life. And that's not how he was with me. And that is a hard pill to swallow. Now, by the way, the pictures of Jen back in the day, she's had a lot of, work done, but tasteful work, but she does look different. And I understand that kind of thing of like, watching somebody that you love be somebody completely different and potentially somebody better without you. And it does have to be tough, even if it's the right move to not be with that person, right? And Jen goes, if you found someone and she's everything I never was, why can't you let me in a little bit and just be a co-parent to you with these kids? And Katie says, I feel the exact same way because she has a situation like that as well. And Alexis is like, I have been in your shoes at this point. I said to Jim Bellino, we are going to be at every big monumental moment in the life. Like at some point you have to have a conversation with him. And Tamara goes, when you see, and Tamara starts getting emotional. Tamara's like, oh, the softer side. She goes, when you see him with like him and the kids, and it's just you're not in that picture. Like, does that hurt you? Like you've just been erased, like that was your family, and all of a sudden, like you've been cut off. And Jen's like, well, I mean, that's not exactly it, but yeah, I think that's the hard part. But now this is Tamara trying to jam in her experience. And I will say, I mean, that's the bad thing about coming off as strongly as Tamara does, is that even when Tamara, like, I don't know, maybe she's potentially being completely real here, there is something that you still don't buy about it, which I hate to say because that sounds heartless, right? But it almost seems a little self-serving when you're like, okay, it's, do you know? Anyways, Tamara keeps sharing her story. After my divorce, I lost my daughter, she says in a talking head. And we have a flashback to her last night talking to Alexis where she says, I don't understand, God, because why would you take my child away from me? And Alexis is like, I'm going to be your strength right now. God, please just lift Tamara up right now and just fill her with all of your love and your peace. And she's cradling Tamara's head, who, by the way, this is very reminiscent of that scene a couple years ago. Remember when Shannon Bedore, they were in that car and Shannon Bedore was holding Tamara and Tamara was crying into Shannon Bedore's bosom? And I was like, God, Alexis is copying everything that Shannon has ever done in her life. But she continues on with her story. She says that the last time I saw my daughter, Sydney, was at Sophia's graduation last year. It was just so nice to just talk to her. And then I thought, oh my God, here we are. We're on the up and up. And no, I would text her afterwards and she just wouldn't return my text messages. I mean, that's such an interesting thing, right? If you were to speculate, and all this is speculation, but when they talk about it on the show, it opens that door for us as an audience to think about it, to speculate. And, I will say, I probably think that even right now, it's something, if you are working on repairing this really broken relationship, she probably really hates when you use it as any form of storyline on this show. We saw your other daughter who seemed awesome in like the first or second episode this season, and she seems awesome. She seemed like she didn't really want to be there, which I was like, props to you, but she was great. Seemed great. And it's very interesting. And I wonder sometimes if Tamara's behavior towards these ladies are sometimes the same types of behavior that has turned her daughter away from her at a time. Is that maybe her daughter doesn't like these sides of Shannon? And I don't think it's necessarily that her ex, turned her daughter against Tamara, but I mean, we don't necessarily know, but I feel like if you're ever really that worried about a relationship, you shouldn't use it as any sort of conversation on this show. That's just my 2 cents. And then Tamara goes, well, Jen, thank you for sharing. And I'm like, it seems like you were able to share. I'm like, Jen, what do we do with Jen? Anyways, Tamara and Jen actually have a nice bonding hug. And Jen's like, oh, here we go again, crying. Just all you ladies, just eat your breakfast sausage. Come on. Now we go back over to La Quinta and we are on the pickleball courts. This Elizabeth Vargas even has pickleball courts in this mansion. So Emily and Gina are in these little pickleball outfits. I will say Emily's pickleball outfit, you can see her white undies or her little shorts. They're like kind of just poking out an inch. I was just like, I don't know. I feel like if I wore dresses ever, and maybe someday I will, that's the kind of vibe I would have where just my undies would always be sticking out at some point. But they're gonna play this pickleball game. And remember, they still haven't worked out whatever, Gina doesn't fully know everything that's why Emily's upset. So this is potentially going to be this conversation. Emily and Gina start playing pickleball, and I kind of tune out when any kind of sport is played. But Emily doesn't seem to be that great at it. I don't know. They're hitting the pickleball ball back and forth, and then we cut back into the house, and Heather Dubrow comes up upon Shannon, and he's like, "Your eyelashes look amazing." And Shannon's like, "Oh, good. I couldn't even see in the mirror to do them." And Heather's like, "Let me see." Well, full disclosure, I can't see. And Shannon's like, "That's why I like hanging out with older people, because we can't see." And I was like, God, it's fun getting old. And then Emily on the pickleball court, we go back out there and she's like, "I want to talk to you." No, Gina's like, "I want to talk to you, Emily." And Emily's like, "No." And she's panting. And Gina's like, "Fuck off. I do want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you because I don't want anything. I don't want us to have any problems ever. And last night you were clearly upset with me, Emily." And Emily's like, "Yeah." And Gina's like, "I don't like it." And Emily's like, "Well, I don't like things that I've heard. Jen said to me that you were saying, Heather says, how high does she jump?" I didn't say that. And I jumped that high. And Emily's like, "Well, but I did say something to that extent." And Gina's like, "That's fine. But then you said that." And then that pissed me off. And what I did was reactionary. And Emily's like, "What was I supposed to think when 1 minute you're like, I love Katie. I love Katie. Katie's great. Everybody meet Katie. I love Katie." And then the minute you have a sit down with Heather Dubrow, right after that, you fucking hate Katie and she's dead to you. And we flash back to a scene where Gina's like, "This fucking girl that I thought was my friend," talking to Emily on FaceTime, "that I've known for 10 minutes now, attacking my other friend that I've known for years. If that's the way it is, then fucking goodbye, Katie." Emily in a talking head goes, "Okay, I was not present when Gina and Heather had a conversation, but I can imagine it. Heather is the godfather." And then we have this like the Godfather music playing, and we see Heather and Terry walking with purpose down a hallway. And Emily's like, "And she has her rings out, and everyone must kiss them when they enter the room." And then Gina falls to her knees and lays on the sword. "I raised my voice in your home, Heather. I'm really sorry," we see in a flashback. And Emily says, and then Heather still does not accept her apology. It is funny how they really view Heather Dubrow. It's either they're scared shitless of her, but they really think it's all about bending the knee with Heather. And I think Heather kind of likes that they all think that. Emily in this pickleball scene says, "You let her manipulate her. You worry about what she thinks. Listen to me. No, listen to me." And Emily's like, "You're so far up her ass." And she's like, "I am not." And I was like, "Yes, you are. You are living up that ass. You have so much acreage up that ass. You should sell that as a real estate property." I do think that. And what I love about this is you can tell they have this real friendship. So it's the way friends actually good friends call each other out on things. This is what I love about their friendship. And then Gina's like, "You're up Tamara's ass. You're up Tamara's ass." And Emily's like, "First of all, Tamara doesn't tell me anything ever." Well, I just think in all honesty, Emily, in all honesty, this is really just about, and I know you're working on it, right? And I get that. I don't want to see you be the grand bitch. And then we flash back to that dinner scene where Emily had gotten in on Jen about that Rolex she was wearing. And Jen's like, "I'm not selling my watch, Emily. I love my watch." And Emily going, "You're so fucking stupid." Which is a wild thing to say, but I think espresso martinis were talking that night. Emily says, "You've been aggressive since the day you met me." And she's like, "Well, I think that we need to work on that. That's all I'm saying." And Emily goes, "I'm 48 years old. What do you want me to fucking do?" You and Tamara do this thing where you're like, "I'm an asshole. No, I'm a bigger asshole. High five." That's not cool. I love that. That's dead on. But then Emily goes, "Okay, well, Heather's like, get on your knees." And you're like, "Okay, Heather, that's not true." It is true. Fine. That's fine. If you want to say I'm a pussy and I have a problem with Heather, that's fine. And Emily goes, I don't think you're a pussy, though. That's the difference. I don't think that. I think with her, you act like that. Why are you getting so aggressive with me, Gina? And she's like, I'm not being aggressive. And then she has a pickleball racket in her head. She says, I have a weapon and I have not even used it. And Gina goes, I don't know. Everybody fucking hates me. That's fine. No, everybody fucking hates me. It's true because you're mad at me. She's mad at me. She's mad at me. Travis is mad at me. Everybody's fucking mad at me. And then she throws the pickleball racket and walks off. And she goes, the fucking sprinklers are on, which, by the way, Gina should know the sprinkler schedule if she is selling that house. And this is when I feel like Elizabeth Vargas should pop out and go, do you need me to turn off the sprinklers? I'm still here. I'm in the show still. Woo! And then she's like, seriously, I'm over it. And she's storming out. I loved this scene. I loved it. I thought it really was great. And then Emily throws her pickleball racket. These pickleball rackets must be so fun. After we come back from break, Gina's trying to find a way into the house because she doesn't seem to know the property that well. She's like, there's too many ways in and out of this place. Emily's chasing after Gina. We can see her little underpants up the skirt. And Emily's like, you're coming back. And Gina's like, I have to. I can't get in. I'm lost. And Emily's like, listen. And she's like, I don't want to deal with it. And Emily's like, calm down. I'm going to hug you right now. And she lifts up Gina's sunglasses. I was like, are they going to kiss? Oh my God. Emily goes, it hurts my feelings to hear that you say things like that about me. I'm fucking sorry. Or that you think less of me, Gina. And now Emily's crying. Emily's starting to tear up. And Gina's like, I don't think less of you, Emily. I think the most of you. And I think this is such a beautiful friendship because they do really care for each other. And this is the real friendship right here. Now we're back in the house with Shannon and Heather. And Heather's like, Shannon, come here. They are arguing outside. And so now they're listening to it. And she's like, what's going on? And Heather's like, I don't know. I don't want to go out there, though. And then she gives like kind of a look, like she's like playing it up for the cameras. Back out there, Gina's like, you want me to come to you and talk to you, and now look at what's happening. This is what I'm talking about. And then I think, like, I don't know, Emily gets a nosebleed or snot, and she's like playing with her nose, and Gina's like dabbing her nose. And Emily's like, you can always approach me. Well, I don't want to feel like I'm tiptoeing around you. I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you because I can't, because I just need you in my life right now. And Emily goes, I know you're going through a lot and I'm sorry about that. And I ask you all the time. And everybody's fucking fighting, Emily. And Emily goes, who always asks you about you and Travis? I know. And she goes, because I care, Gina. In a talking head, Gina says, my relationship is so fragile right now. And we flash back to her talking to Heather saying, it's so hard with me and Travis because he's basically breaking up with me. I was like, let's just let it settle. You could break up with me in 3 months from now. In the talking head, Gina goes, and it makes me fearful that the same thing could happen to me and Emily. Like, there's only so much I can take. Emily goes, girl, we're fine. I think we just needed to do that. Things had built up. On the friendship totem pole, you're at the top. Well, I see what happens, between Shannon and Tamara, Emily, and I just get... And Emily goes, that's not us. Those are two dysfunctional nut jobs. They're so fucked up, Emily. You're right. We're not like that, Gina. No. And Emily goes, we're totally normal. And she's like tearing up. I loved this scene. Unironically, ironically, all of it. I thought it was fantastic. I love the pickleball outfits, the whole thing. I got to tell you, man, I am loving Gina this season, even with her issues. This is the first scene where I was like, damn, I love this. I feel like Gina is fully coming into her own, and it's really exciting to see. Okay, now we go back to Tamara's lair, and Tamara brings in Jen Pedronti a Diet Coke, and they're packing up before they leave, and now Fun Lexi comes in, and I was like, okay, they're going to have a 3-person conversation. And I was like, I don't know if I really even want to see this scene, but so let's see what they're going to talk about. Alexis comes in, she's all packed up, and Katie's already cleaned the bedroom. Sorry, I was wrong. Katie Janella, and Lexi are in one bedroom. Tamara and Jen are in the other bedroom. And they're going to have like kind of separate conversations. So Lexi is telling Katie, I'm a little nervous about the Heather thing with you because she's my dear friend. Alexis, is Heather's not your dear friend? And Alexis is like, I know she's hard headed. I really, really like you. I don't think laughing was the right, and Katie goes, I know I couldn't help it. Well, it's just Katie. She doesn't have the sense of humor that you and I have. I'm fun Lexi. I have a sense of humor. And we flash back to the laughing at Katie's golf event where Dubrow was like, well, this has been a lovely day. Enjoy the Dom. And Katie laughs. Alexa says she takes things way too serious sometimes, kind of like how I take my love with John Jansen. In a talking head, Katie says, if Heather and I can move forward and she can get past all of this because I'm the freaking innocent one, then we'll do that. I will say, though, I still believe Katie. Katie seems so matter of fact, and she doesn't seem, what I'm saying, when you like Anne-Marie Wiley, they were comparing her to on Beverly Hills, but Anne-Marie kind of seemed like she had this agenda. There was like this weirdness about her on the screen that I don't sense with Katie. Anyways, Katie says, I will totally apologize for laughing. I will. And then Lexus is like, mean it in your eyes, though. Like, I just don't think Lexus is at a place where, she should be doling out advice. And Alexis is like, she'll be able to read you. And Katie goes, well, I do mean it. I don't want to have this angst with Heather. We're in the same friend group. And then Alexis is like, kumbaya's been the whole thing of our trip. Maybe Tamara and I can have a kumbaya and bring everybody back together. Alexis is the savior of this trip. Whoa! Now back in the bedroom with Tamara and Jen, Tamara goes, did you have fun? And Jen goes, I'm so happy. Tamara's like, oh, good. We're going to have to ruin that. And Jen's like, I am so happy where you and I are. I want us always shoot each other straight, Tamara. And I want you to know, because I love you. I see what you're doing with Shannon. Tamara's like, what do you mean? When you attack Tamara, and then Tamara goes, but I don't feel like I attacked her. And then we flash back to the dinner where Tamara's screaming, she needs to be in a rehab program. Yes, she does. She's a fucking alcoholic. In this scene, Tamara goes, I want to help her. I don't know how to help her, so I'm just frustrated with her. This is what I'm saying. Like all these kumbaya and praying to God. Well, why don't you pray to God? I just have a feeling God wouldn't be, you gotta be annoying. You gotta yell alcoholic every time you see her. I just have a hard time ever thinking that this is the way, the godly way, the church way of going about things. But Jen Pedronci says, if this is family and this is someone you love, Tamara, then maybe you owe her that hard conversation lovingly. And Tamara goes, yeah, I would love that, but I don't have high expectations. Yeah, I would love, first off, you wouldn't love that. I would love that. Tamara, you have autonomy over your body and your mouth, unfortunately, with the mouth, not the body. But you know what I'm saying? You do, like, you then do that. You can do that. And you could have done that the other day. But Tamara goes, I'm protecting myself right now. I'm the victim. And Jen goes, I know you don't think she is where she needs to be, but I do think that she is doing better than she was, Tamara. I do think that. And Tamara goes, that's all I can hope for. That's all I can hope for. You're making things actively worse. There's a difference between like kind of removing yourself from a bad situation and there's, as opposed to making a bad situation worse, which Tamara is doing when the cameras go up. And I'm not trying to I realize they've had a 10-year friendship and a lot of that has been off camera, but I'm sorry, this is on camera. And if we don't know the context, it's going to come off like you are a heartless asshole. It's going to come off like that. Anyways, we're like, good talk. Let's hit the road now. Also, shout out to Jen. I will say Jen will have these moments where she does stick up for other people in a really lovingly way. Like, in other housewife situations, you see where certain cast members are scared to actually have a conversation like this, to say, hey, I think maybe you got it wrong and maybe you should try again. I see what you're doing. But like Jen did, I think that takes a lot of guts with somebody like Tamara that's already came at Jen last season and is going to come again at Jen this season. Anyways, we're back in La Quinta and Emily and Gina are still hugging. Now Heather and Shannon are out and Heather's like, what's going on? What's going on? And I was like, nothing. Are you okay? And I was like, we're fine. I just think we needed to do that. Things have built up, and sometimes you just need to, pickleball it out. Heather in a talking head says, I don't understand Gina. She's coming after me. She's fighting with Emily. I don't, it's like, yeah, Heather, you don't understand. I mean, you don't. And then Heather's like, what? I mean, you guys need to push each other. And Emily's like, well, we had rackets. We did. We pushed each other. If I was going to get aggressive, I would have, I would have beat her with a pickleball racket already. In a talking head, Heather goes, I don't know this, Gina. This isn't a person that I recognize. She has changed. I will argue, Heather, she has changed for the better. I'm telling you, this is a Gina that we potentially haven't seen before. Heather goes, maybe things at home are worse than she's letting on. Worse than she's letting on. She's kind of letting on that they're pretty bad. Anyways, now Shannon and Heather go to the pickleball court. And I'm like, woo, one of the sexiest scenes I've ever seen. Two ladies that can't see playing pickleball. Anyways, Emily like, let's go inside. They can play. And Shannon's like, where are you going? Are you going to come back? Yeah, we'll be right back, Emily says. Anyways, they go inside and we see Shannon and Heather play pickleball. Excited. So in Big Bear, we get a phone ringing on Lexi's phone, and she's like, hey, babe. So we're like, oh, my God, it's John Jansen. We're literally loading up the car right now, and we're headed out. And so I'll be back home in the OC in like 2 hours, and then we'll have sex all day, okay? Okay? And Katie's here helping. She's like, Katie's here to help. Johnny's on the phone, Katie. Johnny's on the phone. Tamara's like pulling down the blinds. And we suddenly hear Alexis from the other room go, it has to do with what I think it has to do with, John? Are you kidding me? I am literally going to lose it right now. Now, we don't hear John Jansen on the phone. We just hear Alexis. And then Alexis says, gloves are off, which is the episode title. The gloves are off. We finally find out why. So Alexis is like, gloves are off. And Tamara's walking down the stairs going, oh my God, shit, what's happening right now? Oh my God. Because Alexis keeps going, oh my God, gloves are off. Oh my God. And Jen's like, this doesn't sound good, Tamara. And Tamara's like, let's just get in the car. But this is funny that the call happens right when they're about to leave, when the cameras are up. This seems so plotted, and it doesn't even seem plotted by production. It seems plotted by Alexis. And part of me really is starting to form this opinion that Alexis is really has an agenda. Not just the love of John Jansen, the love for John Jansen, but an agenda against Shannon. It's just so scripted out, it feels like. Now, back in La Quinta, they're getting out of Dodge as well. And packing up everything. And Heather goes, can we start staying in places where there are people to take our shit in and out of rooms? And I'm like, yeah, you would just make Shannon do it. Anyways, they're packing up, and as they do, Shannon Bedore drops a big jug of water. Like, there's one more accident. Like, at this point, I feel like, hey, before we leave, let's all shit on the linoleum. Like, Gina will never sell this house. Anyways, Gina's like, get out. You've spilled water on the carpet. Get out of the house. Get out of the house. And Shannon's like, did I do that? Now, back in Big Bear, Alexis comes up to Katie. And she goes, what Shannon is doing now is being so like, I'm going to freaking lose it. And Katie's like, is it legal? Is it legal stuff? He could only tell me a minute of it. And I can hear it in Johnny's voice. When you love somebody, you can hear it in their voice. In a talking head, Alexa says, it came to the point where John has had enough. In the scene, she goes, I think she gets so blacked out drunk, she doesn't remember what she's done or said. In the talking head, the producer goes, what specifically happened to warrant you saying I'm taking the gloves off? And Alexis goes, I'm not at liberty to discuss what happened. That pushed John to the limit. Okay, so we can have all these details about the financials, but this we can't. Just randomly happens when the cameras are up when you're leaving. I can't discuss this. And Alexis goes, that is a question everyone would have to ask him. Would you like to add him to the cast right now? Anyways, in the scene with Katie, Alexis goes, but we have the footage. We have the fucking footage, okay? Nobody's actually talking to Alexis that warrants this kind of reaction. And we've held the footage, Katie, the whole time. We've held it. And Katie goes, I know, I know. Katie probably doesn't know. In the talking head, Alexis goes, there's a lot that I know that Shannon probably wouldn't want anyone else to know. Sometimes she wears white after Labor Day. Sometimes she eats meat on Good Friday. And then she goes, Katie, it'll ruin her life. And then we do this weird fast forward thing where it says 2 weeks later, and we see a shot of Shannon saying, what video thing? What video thing? Is this bad? In a talking head, Alexis goes, she's lied. And all I know is truth prevails. And then back to Shannon 2 weeks in the future going, he's a monster. He's a monster. And then we rewind back to Big Bear. And now Alexis, as they're trying to leave the Big Bear cabin, is laid out on the bed with her hand on her forehead going, she's such a piece of shit. I think I'm going to throw up. It could be all the fucking Red Bull you drink. Are you insane? I'm sorry. This is going like, this is too much. It is, bring it down like 5 notches. I'm telling myself that as well. My heart is getting riled up here. You can't just throw this like bomb out there of like, what is it that happened on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever day this is, where you heard it in Johnny's voice, but you could only talk to him for a minute. So how could you get the details in a minute that would get you so infuriated that you would bring up the tapes? We have the tapes. What it makes it sound like is, Johnny, call me right now. I'm going to start this little scene so I can eventually bring up the tapes. So I can bring up the tapes, so I can throw out, we have the tapes, something that will ruin Shannon's life. This is where I'm seeing it really reads like blackmail. It really reads like blackmail. We come back from commercial. It's a fun new day in the OC. We see the ocean. We see cars driving. Katie's husband asks how Big Bear is. Oh, it was fun. We see over at Jen Pedronzi's house, the dog is shit inside of the house, which means Gina could sell it, you know? So, I don't know. We're seeing that like kind of round robin going into each housewife's house. We see Tamara walking the dog with Eddie, and Tamara's like, that's our deal. I don't deal with the poop. And I'm like, what, are you saying that Eddie picks up your poop, Tamara? I don't know. This is like each one of these scenes has to deal with dog poop, because like Katie's house, they're picking up dog poop in the back. Like, how high are these editors where they're like, what if we did a montage where the connector was that you're all picking up dog shit? Amazing, right? So weird. So weird. I don't even know why that was in there. Like, what was that? Completely bizarre. Okay, now we're over at Gina's place that Travis moved out of, and it looks like everything is just being torn to shreds. Like, she is doing some major renovation once Travis left. I'm putting in a hot tub. Yeah. Anyways, Tamara comes over to Gina's. They do that hug. Hey, how are you doing? And she's like, are you guys in construction? And Gina's like, yeah, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. You know, Tamara's like, I haven't been in your house in so long. What are you doing? It's like, well, I'll show you. Okay. And Gina's like, yeah, I could use a little paint. We're letting the kids draw on the walls right now, so that needs to be painted. I mean, it does look like the kids have scrawled everywhere. It's kind of like, help me, please get me out of. No, I'm joking. Anyways, Tamara's like, prior to this in here, you had 3 beds in here. And Gina's like, yeah, we had a bunk bed right here. And then Sienna had another popcorn bed over there. I'm telling you guys, this thing looks like Kim Richards drew all over it, because, you know, Kim Richards in Beverly Hills admitted she likes to draw on her walls now. But I'm telling you, there is drawings all over these walls. It's like hieroglyphics. I'm like, what are these kids trying to tell us? Gina says, when Travis moved out, I chose to do construction because I was just focused on fresh start. I will say it is a little weird though, right? You're paying for renovations and you're saying we couldn't afford a place. I feel like this is money we could put into a new place together. So Tamara goes, what's the room situation now? Well, Nick really wanted his own room and he's older. Sienna didn't. In a talking head, Gina goes, but for Travis, it feels like I'm erasing everything that once was. yeah, maybe erase all the markings on the wall. My God. And Tamara goes, well, where are they sleeping now? I love when housewives go into any place that Gina's ever had. They always just look completely shocked. They're like, is everybody okay? Is like, remember when Shannon Bedore came in and checked? She's like, this is very nice, lovely, amazing. you know, it feel like Shannon left there was like, I felt bad about my life. And then I went in. No, anyways, Gina's like, well, they literally, all three of them are in my bedroom right now. Yeah. This is the shit that I don't think about. I can't even fit in there. So now I'm on the couch. I don't even know what the purpose of that scene was, except to scare all of us. Now we go to another scene, and we're with Emily and her kids, meeting Katie and her kids, and they're in a candy shop. I'm in the candy shop. I got So, anyways, Luke and Keller, Emily's twins, they meet Katie's son. And Katie's like, I'm really excited that Bandon gets to meet Emily's boys. Her son's name's Bandon, Bandon. That's kind of a badass name. Like, I've never heard that name before. And usually I'm kind of weird with names that I haven't heard before. But Bandon sounds kind of awesome. Like, Bandon sounds like a superhero. So, anyways, these kids are playing with candy. And the kids seem to be getting along. And I always get scared when kids meet other kids and like try to form friendships, because I remember how hard it was for me as a kid. And then I wound up doing a podcast one day. But like I'm like, I hope the kid, like I like kids, like I hope that all kids have friends out there. Anyways, Katie goes, I love moving to Orange County because I feel like the people are much nicer. They're more open. We have better restaurants. It seems like you only have one restaurant in Orange County, the Quiet Woman. Anyways, Bandon has his hands in the candy and he goes, so satisfying. I was like, hell yeah, Bandon. I do that sometimes with cheese at a cheese shop. I'll just touch all the cheeses and I'll be like, so satisfying. Katie goes, it's not LA. It's not San Diego. It's like a perfect happy medium. And I don't want to leave. I just want to like live here forever. That's why you shouldn't have gone against Heather, because Heather will make sure you never come to OC ever again. You'll be banned. Anyways, Emily goes, how was your trip? Because remember, they had separate trips. And Katie goes, so good. My stomach was hurting from laughing. Lexi is so fun. Belly laughs. Anyways, we flash back to that trip, and Alexis is in her furry outfit, and she stands up going, Kumbaya, my lord. And Tamara and Jen are like, Kumbaya. I would run as fast as I could. And Katie and Emily goes, that's awesome. It was good. How was yours? Oh, we had a lot of fun too. Shannon completely destroyed the house. She goes, but there was some dramatic moments. And Katie goes, tell me what happened. Well, first, Gina and Heather had not really resolved things. And Katie goes, oh, okay. So they ended up talking, Katie. Gina apologized a lot. But then I also think Gina finally got to the point of irritation where she was like, what else do you want from me? Get over it. Katie in a talking head goes, I am starting to figure out, like, I thought Gina was like a girl's girl for me. And now I'm like, well, I think she's a girl's girl for Heather. We all have those relationships, though, that make us do weird things or believe weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, oh, I guess I have to go with the old favorite. Anyways, Katie says, I'm not going to trust that anymore. Which, by the way, Katie in this has a new talking head where she's like this pink get up with like these big poofy shoulder sleeve things. And her makeup and her earrings look on point. I think this is a great look for Katie. Anyways, now we're back at Gina's domicile with the drawings on the wall. And Gina asked Tamara, how was Big Bear? And Tamara goes, Alexis is a lot, man. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Man, shut up. This is the Tamara that we all know. And that's why I say if Alexis makes it to another season, Tamara will go against Alexis at some point. My hand to God, that will happen. We flash back to Alexis in the car on the way up, where Alexis is talking about Johnny J going, I didn't even know what you are, that John could exist. And then a cut of her saying, I'm on my period and I don't even have my period too much. And then another thing where a lot of lies that have been spoken about John that are not true, and they're going to be cleared up. Jesus, take the wheel, as she's like going down the snow slope. A lot of Alexis scenes. Gina says, well, Alexis is very Shannon focused when she's in the room with Shannon. She's very defensive. Is she still like that when Shannon isn't there? And Tamara goes, well, for the most part, she was not. And Gina goes, I know this is a very sensitive topic for you. But then when we went away to La Quinta, Shannon, she was able to be vulnerable because we put our walls down and we're not like angry at her. And then Tamara goes, she drank. Well, she did. And Tamara goes, because she likes to drink. I know. And Tamara goes, and she's just like, for me, even for you, you didn't have a drinking problem. You're not an alcoholic. And Gina goes, no, I had a drinking problem. Like, this is Tamara trying to throw Shannon under the bus by boosting somebody else up. And Gina's literally like, no, actually, I did have a drinking problem. I know you're trying to butter me up, but I did. And Tamara's like, oh, you did? Yeah, I had a drinking problem. And then it got more control of me than I did it, but I'm not an alcoholic. In a talking head, Gina goes, I did not stop drinking after my DUI because I felt like a loser. I was ready to take responsibility for the mistake that I made, but I wasn't ready to admit that I had a problem with alcohol. Tamara goes, here's the thing. There's people that have severe drinking problems and people that just act like assholes. I think we could use Tamara as an example of that asshole, but who knows? Gina says, it was only like later on I started to become aware of it. But you can't force somebody into that. They have to get there themselves. Tamara says, it's the manipulation, Gina. It's the lying. And Gina goes, but that's a woman, a broken woman in pain. She really needs like her real friends. And like, you're her best fucking friend. And Tamara goes, well, I do want to have a conversation with her. But I feel like tough love is the best thing for her. Once again, tough love is literally not screaming out, lie, lie, lie. You're an alcoholic. Do you need a drink right now? Do you go get a drink? That's not tough love. Tough love is not that. And then Tamara goes, well, now Shannon is like, she feels like, okay, I got Gina on my side. Okay, good. I got Heather on my side. And then she's going to go right back to her old ways. I once again want to point out that Gina and now Jen Pedronti and now Gina are both telling Tamara what you're doing is not the way. And I think Tamara now realizes, oh shit, I'm potentially losing the season. And now I have to reevaluate and try almost to get Shannon to a point of failure again so I can get back to dissing on Shannon. But this is like a really interesting episode because you see kind of Tamara, taking stock of the season, and people are actually going, hey, Tamara, they're saying it in really nice ways, but they're like, you're kind of in the wrong. She is just really going through something and you were her best fucking friend. I really love Gina having this scene with Tamara because Tamara is so dead set on this tough love thing. And I don't think it's that. I just think she loves talking shit about people. And once she's determined something, she's not going to just move on from them. She's going to make their life a living hell. We go over to the Emily and Katie scene. And Katie's like, well, Alexis the whole time was like, if Shannon doesn't shut up, we're going to release some things. And I'm like, well, what do you have to release? Well, John ended up calling her right before he left. And apparently Shannon did something. And he said, all gloves are off. And they're going to release these videos of Shannon. And then at first I was like, are these like sexy videos of like, are we going to see like Shannon's nipples or something? Like, I was like, I don't know if I'm prepared for that. And Emily goes, wait, what is it that Shannon did? And Katie goes, well, there's like ring footage cameras of her almost running over his daughter. And Emily's like, oh my God, are you serious? And Katie goes, she kept saying, if we release this, she's done. Her reputation is completely done. Emily in a talking head goes, I just don't understand it. If John and Alexis are so happy together, just ride off into the sunset. Like, why drag Shannon's lifeless body along behind you? In the scene, Emily goes, I'm afraid it's going to push her to the point of no return. Exactly. That's exactly it. Emily nailed it of like, yeah, why aren't they just riding into the sunset? Why are you trying to run over the body? Now, Katie drops this new information. She almost ran over John Jansen's daughter. So I don't know. I can only imagine what that is. Is that another drunken night? Was it an accident and she was driving drunk, pulling out of the driveway and almost ran over? Or was it something even darker where she was in a fight and literally did try to on purpose run over John Jansen's daughter, which I don't think it was. But throwing these accusations out there, which is interesting that they let Katie carry the ball on this and not have Alexis on film saying this, which once again, I feel like Katie is being used potentially once again that it's going to come back and it's going to like blow back on Katie when Alexis is the one that said it. But I wish we had Alexis on camera saying this. But this is some wild information, right? And I don't understand what this necessarily has to do with Real Housewives, with this gang of friends. you know? Um, Also, I will say to go back to that earlier scene in Big Bear when Jen Pedranti was opening up about her relationship with her ex and his new girlfriend that was her friend and interior designer, and how hard that is for her, even though she likes her old friend, the interior designer. And I just thought it was so funny that Alexis in that scene was giving Katie advice and nobody was making those obvious comparisons to what Alexis and John are doing with Shannon and how it's got to be really doubly tough to watch that, to have it in Shannon Bedore's face. Like Alexis wasn't putting that together in that moment. And I just thought, this is so bizarre. Oh, also a couple of things. I was just consulting my notes because I just kind of go and start ranting. But a couple of things that I left out. Also, at that Big Bear in that first scene, do you know Tamara's wearing a shirt that literally says Tamara and Alexis on the shirt? Did anybody else notice that? It is so bizarre. Like you made fucking merch to say that you and Alexis are friends. Like, did Alexis make that or did Tamara make that? My heart tells me Tamara, but it is so bizarre to have a shirt. Like, why are you wearing a shirt that says Alexis and Tamara? That's another just kick in the nuts. You've now made merch about it. It is so tacky. It's like, what is this? Like She by Shein? It's so like Old Navy would never do this. Come on. You're wearing Tamara and Alexis merch? Like, shut up. Are you kidding me? And also another thought is, do you think John Jansen has ever had a point yet where he's like, listen, Alexis can sometimes be a little much. Do you think John's had that moment yet where he's kind of been like, sex is pretty cool, but yeah, she like really likes me. Like, do you think he's been freaked out by it ever? Like, do you think any of the initial shine is wearing off for either of them? Um, I don't know. I kind of I don't know. It's something that I keep thinking about of the reality of their relationship. I was on Jeff Lewis this past week, and me and Mercedes Javid were on together, and Jeff was in the room as well. And we had a conversation about Real Housewives of Orange County, which is interesting on Jeff Lewis because even though there's a lot of housewives involved, the show isn't about Bravo. But we ended up talking about OC for the most of the hour, and some I think a lot of people I think like that, but a lot of people are like, I don't even watch Housewives that listen to Jeff. So it is interesting to have those conversations. But we ended up talking about it all the time. And Jeff had such an interesting perspective that I was kind of surprised by. I mentioned it in one of the earlier shows this week, was that he was like, well, obviously a really good friend to Shannon and Shannon a good friend to Jeff, but he said he's also friends with Tamara. And he says, they have been friends for so long. And he can also kind of understand Tamara's side. But my whole point was like, okay, sure, but Shane Douglas, that's on, Jeff's main dude that's on the radio with him every day and, is like his chief of staff, and Shane's awesome. I said, well, what if Shane, you had a falling out with Shane, but then every day on the radio, you were in the room with you and he made some point to bring up something really nasty about you on air. That's how I felt that Tamara is doing every scene with Shannon or even scenes without Shannon. She's bringing up something so nasty. And I just said, I can't imagine a world in which you would think that would be okay. Well, like, oh, obviously Shane, there's a lot of history there. You would just be really hurt. You would be hurt. And that's where that's what I see. And like, we're not privy to the entirety of their relationship. And Tamara has not been great at bringing up examples of why she feels this way. And it is weird because I feel like she has this forum. Like, if you do have these examples, bring them up instead of just going about it the way you are, because it just makes you look like a jerk. And I will say Kelly Dodd, Real Housewives of Orange County, Kelly Dodd called into the show. And I was like, oh shit. And she was like, Alexis is full of shit. She's wackadoo. Classic Kelly Dodd. And then she was like, John Jansen still drinks, because they were talking about like he hasn't drank. He's like, oh, he's at all the restaurants. He still drinks. Are you kidding me? And like was going off about all of this. And I was like, damn. It's like she just wanted back on the show. And I thought, what an interesting perspective as well. I was like, this is what, but I was kind of shocked that Jeff wasn't fully not that it doesn't have to be teams, but that he wasn't like, yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I don't even know if he had seen last week's episode at that point, but it was interesting to hear like, well, both people have like she's very worried about Shannon and things of that nature. So I thought that was interesting to bring up as well. Okay, so we're back in the show and we got Ryan and Jen Pedranti. They're going to get their nails did, folks. So Jen is like, I love that you do this with me. They're at Glow Nail Bar. And Jen's like, we have a reservation, the two of us under Ryan. Ryan made the reservation. So they get set up at the nail place. And Jen's like, Ryan definitely enjoys spa days. He'll do petties with me. But you know what? I've never had that. Like my marriage for 23 years was the opposite of that. Like trying to get Will to spend time with me was really hard. Which is another thing, is that like, you got to understand, she was in this 23-year relationship, all of these kids, somebody like Ryan, the polar opposite is got to like be blowing her hair back. And when you are in such a place, you are so open potentially to new possibilities and everything is so exciting and so new. And it might not be the healthiest, but it is different. And you almost say, well, is different maybe good because I was not happy in a 23-year marriage? And I think it kind of skews your view on relationships because you're like, well, different could be good, but is different healthy? And I think it can do a real mind fuck on you. Anyways, they ask if they want to order drinks and Jen says Diet Coke. And Ryan goes, I will do a Diet Coke as well. And Jen says, well, now I have this relationship with Ryan. He's truly my best friend. He loves it. He smells good. His toes look good. His fingernails, he's shaven. It kind of goes with who Ryan is. So Ryan is just, I was like, what about his heart? It's like, Ryan's just a guy that looks really good. He's metrosexual. He manscapes, cuts his pubes, everything, no butt hair, all, then Ryan adds to his Diet Coke order. He says, you know what? I'll have a double shot of Malibu rum with mine. And Jen's like, no, he's actually dead serious. He wants that. So he double shot of Malibu rum, which is interesting because he ordered Malibu rum Diet Pepsi. And now, so Diet Coke is probably throwing him off his game. But that Malibu shit, I'm telling, why not Jägermeister? Why not Goldschlager? So they're drinking their drinks. And Ryan goes, my, how our dates changed. And Jen goes, I feel like I'm all over the place. So much happened in the last 24 hours. That night in Big Bear, Ryan, we went out to a bar. We cut to that scene in the bar and Tamara's like, my friend Jen is gonna go on OnlyFans and show her boobies and her butthole. And Jen's like, would you subscribe? And the bartender's like, yeah, I'd subscribe, to make you some money. And Jen's telling Ryan, they start in on this OnlyFans conversation at me. And Ryan goes, wait, start on what conversation? And she's like, that I should do OnlyFans. And Ryan goes, this is not happening. I love you. And Jen goes, are you going to put your foot down? He goes, 1,000,000%. This is such a silly, stupid storyline. It's like when, in Vanderpump Rules, was it Rachel Leviss that they were like doing like the foot thing? And that was like a storyline in season 9. That was such a stupid storyline. It's that kind of vibe. Like, I don't think Jen's ever going to do, which by the way, if this was a serious storyline, I would love it so much more. If Jen was like, no, I am going to do OnlyFans. Like that would be incredible. It would blow my hair back. I'd be like, what? But no, this is such a silly, stupid storyline. Anyways, Ryan goes, I mean, my feet subscription is making a killing. And Jen's like, you're so silly. Anyways, Jen in a talking head goes, I should actually probably check to see if he has one. You probably should. It seems like he's involved in some weird business. Ryan says, I want to paint each one of my big toes to the nail tech. And Jen goes, yeah, he's actually 100% serious. And Ryan like, I am 100% serious. Jen says, everybody else is concerned about how Ryan makes his money. So, I mean, how does he make his money, right? Oh, Jen has no clue. Ryan says, that's some of the best moments sometimes when people get together and everybody's cocktailed and just the fun that comes with it. When you have a term for that, when say cocktailed, I've never heard it expressed that way. When everybody gets together and you're cocktailed, it's like, wow, this guy even has verbiage for getting hammered. He's like, you guys needed that, you ladies. And Jen goes, we did need that. And then Jen tells Ryan, Tamara pulled up Will, her ex's Instagram. And Ryan goes, oh no. And she goes, I don't like seeing that stuff. I'll be honest. And then she gets a phone call from her kid. She's like, hi, sweetheart. Honey, wait, you can't toilet paper in the daylight. I love that the kid's asking about TP in a house. And Ryan's like, no way. Hold on. And then they're on, he's on speakerphone, the kid. He's like, you have to give, you have to give me an answer about TP. And Jen's like, I can't give you an answer about TP. Okay, I love you. Okay. Weird conversation. A weird call to get about TP. Anyways, Ryan says after the phone call, says, hey, you don't always have to say yes to everything to all 5 of your kids with everything that they ask for. You will say to the kids, what do you guys want for breakfast? And they all 5 say something different, and you will make that all for them. And he's like, I know, Ryan, I've told you this 100 times. I was always just home with them. And Ryan goes, I love you. You are Mother Teresa, but I think you could make it a little bit easier on yourself. And she goes, I'm working on that. In a talking head, she says, the way I am with my kids, I coddle them too much. And going through my divorce, it just got worse because I have so much guilt for changing their lives. But now I look at it like I've taught them nothing. And we flash back to a scene with Dawson, her 17-year-old son. And Dawson's like, yo, when we moved in with Ryan, it's like all of a sudden I have a curfew, Mom. Like, be home at like 9:30. And Jen goes, well, we do need some stuff in place. Make your bed, pick up your trash. One day you're going to be a married man and your wife is going to be like, what the hell? Did your mom wipe your ass for you until you were 40? And he was like, I will be fine by then, Mom. I'm going to work at Sir or something. I'll work at Tom Tom. No, by the way, that is very true. My mom's had that conversation with me many times. One day this kid's going to be a podcaster if he doesn't watch out. Anyways, Jen says, I do think I need to draw a line with Dawson, but it's really hard to start doing that at 17. So I'm just going to try to love him through it. That's all I can do. Very different than Tamara. Tamara's like, tough love. Shannon sucks. Anyways, Ryan likes the way his toes are. Ryan has his big toes white, and then he has a bedazzled heart on the white big toes. Like it's painted white and then a red bedazzled heart. Of course this man has done something weird financially. I mean, that is, I mean, the FBI is like, we got him. Anyways, Jen goes, you are special, Ryan. Okay, so we cut from that scene and we go over to Tamara's. She's being picked up to go someplace. Where is Tamara going? She's in the car on her phone. She's taking selfies. Then we cut to Jen Pedronti, who's in a talking head, and her phone rings, and it's Tamara. And Tamara's like, what you doing? And Jen's like, well, I'm just hanging out in my living room, doing my talking head. And Tamara goes, oh my God. Oh, I am headed. Well, I took your advice and I'm headed to go meet Shannon. And Jen's like, you are? She's like, yeah, this is your doing. Just so you know. Tamara in a talking head says, all the girls are telling me that Shannon is doing better. She's getting help, and that's all I've ever wanted for her. And if that's truly what's going on with her, I would like to sit down with her. I would like to talk to her. And Jen Pedronti says, oh, that makes me so proud. And Tamara goes, well, I mean, I still have a little animosity because she should be reaching out. This is where Tamara always loses me. Like, she should have reached out first. Why? Because you screamed that she was an alcoholic at a dinner the other night? She should reach out to you for your outburst? That's a wild way of thinking. And then we cut to Shannon in the car on the way over, and she calls Emily and says, I'm on the way to meet Tamara. And Emily's like, you're on the way to meet Tamara? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, you'll be good. Heather says, having tension with Tamara and Shannon is a disaster. It's difficult in our group to be friends with everyone and figure out how to support each other. It's exhausting because I feel like we've done this before. How many times do we have to do this? That's the show. It's like Seinfeld, a show about nothing. Housewives, a show where you repeat the same behavior season after season after season. Heather, this is the show. You know how many times every season you have to do this. But also, to her point, you don't want it turning into Real Housewives of New Jersey. Anyways, Tamara in her car goes, I'm not going to yell. I'm going to lead with my butthole. Oh, Tamara always bringing up a sexy way of talking. She goes, I'm going to lead with my butthole. What do I lead with? Oh, my heart. That's it. And Jen's like, yeah, I hate it when you lead with your butthole. Heart, not asshole. Tamara's like, heart. And Tamara, of course, having a hard time saying heart. And Tamara goes, I won't lead with my asshole this time, like she's done every season. Okay, so we are now pulling up to this restaurant for the tete-a-tete, and I'm curious how this is going to go down. We have a softer Tamara, and I'm like, maybe we can bridge maybe love can build a bridge. Let Jesus take the wheel here, right? Shannon Bedore walks in, Tamara's already there, and Shannon comes in. Tamara's already seated, and she's like, I've never been here before. And the guy's like, would you like to start with any water? And Shannon's like, oh my God, this is a trap already. They're trying to trap me. Like, not alcohol. I'll have Pellegrino. Yeah, Pellegrino. Not alcohol, Pellegrino. Any sparkling. Any sparkling. So she sits down. Hi, hey. Tamara's like, you look great. Thank you. So do you, Tamara. Tamara goes, I know this is probably difficult for you. And I just want to just start off, just get it out there. I was really, really hoping that you'd be the one to reach out to me. And Shannon kind of smiles like, okay, after the way you spoke to me at the dinner. And then we flash back to the dinner where Shannon is standing going, I've had 2 conversations with you on the telephone and you were drunk every time, Shannon. Shannon leans in the scene to Tamara, goes, you've been doing nothing but defaming me. Defaming you? That is not true. Oh, you did, Tamara. No, I didn't. You did actually. And Tamara's like, I did. And she's like making this annoying smile. I did. Which, by the way, I will give Tamara a compliment. Her glam looks amazing in this scene. I mean, she looks like $1,000,000. On all kidding aside, she looks amazing. And then Tamara just keeps going, I didn't. It's so annoying when people talk that way. And then Shannon goes, okay, and so should I tell you to calm down now? And I will say Shannon's being completely calm. And then Tamara goes, no, I'm just mimicking you. That's what Tamara does. She's like, I'm just mimicking you. So you know what you look like. And Shannon's like, okay. Shannon's already like, this is bullshit. Tamara goes, I'm here to try to make things better, Shannon. And Shannon goes, Tamara, you have been defaming me for 8 weeks. Shannon goes, defaming you how? You keep saying you're drunk. You need to be sober. You know nothing about me, Tamara. And Tamara goes, well, I know everything about you, Shannon. I know how you move. I know what makes you tick. I know everything. Shannon goes, I am focusing on being healthy. I'm not coping. And Tamara goes, so you don't drink anymore. And Shannon goes, I will have pretty much 2 drinks. I don't think I've gone over 2. And Tamara goes, so you do not have a drinking problem. And Shannon goes, well, so far, first of all, I'm very aware of it. And I'm still continuing. And Tamara's like, you're aware of what? Shannon goes, that I use alcohol and I use it excessively in certain darker periods of my life. If I get to a point where alcohol is an issue with me, then I absolutely will look at it. But so far, and Tamara goes, but don't you feel like sneaking alcohol is an issue? Now, okay, let's back up to what Shannon just said, because I think that's interesting. And I kind of disagree with her a little bit of if I get to a point where I think alcohol is an issue, the fact that you ran a car into a house, even if it was one of your darker moments, that does mean you have an issue with alcohol. Doesn't make you an alcoholic per se, but there's an issue right there, which created a really bad issue in your life. Now, this is the weird part of any scene with Tamara, is that she's got something locked and loaded right here in the back pocket. So she wants to get out in this scene that Shannon at one point snuck alcohol. So that's what this big forgiving scene is about. It's well, you don't think sneaking alcohol is an issue, Shannon? And Shannon goes, I did one night. And then we flash back to the workout scene from the beginning of the season with Jen and Tamara, where Tamara says, well, she snuck alcohol and my photographer was there and she was whispering to him to order her a drink and then slip it in her Diet Coke. And Jen's like, was it Malibu? Was it Malibu rum? No. She's like, Jen goes, what? And Tamara goes, so that is somebody with a drinking problem. That isn't somebody with a drinking. That's something. Sorry, I'm having a stroke. That's somebody that has a drinking problem. That's what they do. Now, back in this scene, Shannon goes, I've seen you in compromising situations. So and Tamara goes, oh God, Shannon. I will say though, even though Tamara was on Watch What Happens Live last week and says, I don't have a problem with alcohol. We've seen her, I would say, Shannon a lot. I've seen Tamara. We've had so many scenes of Tamara. Remember when she walked when she was in the bushes crying and hiding, when she got blackout at Nobu last season. We've seen a lot of Tamara drinking heavily. So I mean, it is interesting. We've seen a fair amount of Tamara drinking, but I'm glad it's not a problem for her. But I would say if you watch the show, you would kind of think, well, I mean, she really likes to partake as well. But Tamara is like, oh God, this again. Shannon goes, don't focus on me. And then Tamara, not knowing how to have any kind of real conversation, says, have I drove my car into a house? And then they just kind of stare at each other. And Shannon goes, okay, I just got to walk away for a minute. I'm sorry. And she walks off. And Tamara goes, oh my God. Oh my God. And then Shannon's like, can you get my purse, please? Can someone get my purse? I need my purse. My flask is in there. No, she just says she needs her purse. And Tamara goes, is she coming back or not? Oh man, I can't believe it. But like, I will say, it was really nice. Like, I will say old Shannon would actually get so activated in a scene like that because they had that kind of friendship where like Tamara would push those buttons and know what buttons to push. So this was great that she kind of was like calm, took a beat, walked up. I'm not going to get slandered like this, and kind of walked off calmly. That's different for Shannon. You have to admit, even if you don't like Shannon, that's different for Shannon. But Tamara going, oh, geez. Oh, God. Like it's the same shit, different day with Tamara. And this isn't like the softer side. She really is leading with her butthole here. So I thought Shannon was just done. I thought she was not going to come back. But actually, Shannon does come back. In the bathroom, Shannon is talking to a producer going, she has done nothing but hurt me and spread lies about me. And we just see a shot of the woman's bathroom door, which would be great if this wasn't even a producer. It's just some lady in the bathroom of like, I was just going to the bathroom and this lady just started talking to me about a friendship. But she's like, she has spread lies about me that are fucking character damaging. Now, Tamara is talking to the producers outside at the restaurant going, where is she? And they're like, she's using the restroom. And then Tamara goes, is she taking a drink? Jesus, she makes it like Shannon's like downing mouthwash to get the alcohol. Like it's like that. She's making it like that. And I just feel this is it's the same shit. Shannon in the bathroom going, I know what I did, and I don't need fucking Tamara Judge to be the person that decides my punishment. Like, fuck off. In a talking head, Shannon goes, this is a true example of kicking someone when they're down. It's just the low blows. You go for the jugular. That's what you do, Tamara Judge. And you're lucky that I don't. You're lucky that I'm not stooping to your level because I could go there. I'm strong, and I know that clearly. She's in the bathroom saying, I'm strong, and I know that clearly. I will say, though, like, it is nice for Shannon to recognize Tamara's patterns of behavior. If we're going to focus on Shannon's patterns of behavior that Tamara's talking about, it goes both ways. Like, I do think there is a world in which Tamara should look at how she actually is in relationships and friendships. I mean, by the way, somebody sent me on her hit podcast, The Twats Pod with Freddie. She revealed some information she had gotten in a DM about Danielle Cabral potentially beating up her brother's sister and her brother's wife. And that's why they don't talk. And I was like, man, even in her podcast, she's still Tamara. She's like, oh, I got a DM. And it's probably a housewife that actually told her. And then just putting it out there for content. And it's another thing of like, why does anybody tell Tamara anything? It's just wild. It's really an interesting way to go about life, is to constantly throw people under the bus. And sometimes it really works where it's really entertaining in Housewives land. And I also want to point out this, like I pointed out last episode and the episode before, Tamara can stay on the show as long as she wants. I don't think Tamara should ever be fired. I've seen some people like, oh, fire Tamara. No, are you kidding me? No, it's ridiculous. So Shannon actually walks back. And Shannon goes, I apologize for getting up, but that's what I'm learning. If I'm upset, I just got to go take a breath. And Tamara goes, okay. And Shannon goes, it's like I'm digging myself out of a hole. And I feel like you are one of the people that's trying to push me back in there. Let me tell you what I'm doing right now is I'm focusing on myself. And Tamara's like, you should. I mean, Shannon hitting it out of the park, communicating, being calm. Shannon goes, I have kept a very small circle of people around me, and I have received so much overwhelming support. I've never had this much support in my life. Oh, so, and then Tamara, of course, making it about herself, goes, oh, so the 10 years that I was there for you as a friend and talked to you all the time about every issue you've had, I wasn't there for you? That's pretty hurtful, Shannon. I came here to try to make things better, and all you've done is be defensive and yelling at me the entire time. Am I not seeing the same? Did they cut massive amounts of this scene? Because, like, what are you talking about, Tamara? Shannon has barely raised her voice. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? You've made everything that she said about you. How is her telling her what her life is like now then like, oh, it's about me in the last 10 years? Oh, it's me? And Shannon goes, I'm not yelling at you. And Shannon goes, for once, Tamara Judge, just calm. For once, you're calm. Do you know how off the rails you were the other night at Gina's dinner? And then you like start backing up Alexis Bellino, making allegations towards me. It's like, stick in your lane, Tamara. And then Tamara goes, backing up Alexis. Oh, about the money that you owe John? And he goes, I don't owe him money. I never signed a promissory note that I owe him money. I paid for everything the first 2 years of our relationship. So now what I have to do and spend my time doing is going through and reliving how stupid I was to stay. And then Tamara goes, is he suing you? This is where I'm like, Shannon, don't. This is where Tamara works her magic, where Tamara already knows he's suing her. Like, he already talked to Alexis. And Tamara's like, is he suing you? Let me hit record on my voice notes. And Shannon's like, yeah, he is. Tamara goes, he's suing you. Are you wearing a wire, Tamara? Shannon goes, and my lawyer made a settlement offer today. I don't owe him anything. And sorry, it's just been a bad day. By the way, also, just like it's like if the world works in a certain way, if John really feels like Shannon owes this money, if this all happened and then he did meet the love of his life, Alexis Bellino, I mean, that's worth $75K right there. Shannon brought you love. Anyways, Tamara, in a kind of realistic moment, but who knows, says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Shannon goes, he said he won't accept one penny under $75,000. He said, if you don't come up with a payment plan to pay him $75,000, they're filing on Friday. So I am not making monthly payments to John Jansen. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to go through 3 years of hell again. And Tamara goes, no. And I don't blame you. Shannon goes, I'm not going to pay $75,000 to him. How dare he? And Tamara sighs, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. And this is like if you didn't know any of Tamara's, how she operates on the show, you would see this scene and go, okay, wow, they're actually listening to each other as people and friends. But she'll run and tell Alexis, she already knows all this information. So it's hard to take these moments seriously with Tamara. This is what kind of makes Tamara fascinating. Now, in a talking head, Tamara goes, in 2018, Jim Bellino sued Shannon and I for defamation. And also Heather McDonald, but Tamara doesn't say that. Tamara goes, it was emotional hell. Me and Shannon trauma bonded over not knowing, are we going to have no money in the bank after this is done? In the scene, Tamara goes, my heart does break and I don't want to make things worse. In a talking head, Tamara goes, and yes, Alexis is my friend, but I personally couldn't imagine going through this again. I mean, I really feel for Shannon. You do, but then you could have a conversation, which hopefully we'll see this season, while telling Alexis, this isn't a great idea. And especially Tamara, since you've been sued by somebody she used to be married to. Do you realize how fucking traumatic it is to have the same family lineage suing again? Tamara then gives an olive branch to Shannon, goes, listen, I'm having a party on Wednesday. Who has a party on Wednesday? I would like for you and Vicky to come. And Shannon just looks at her and I'm just like, don't do this. Don't, Shannon, don't. And Shannon looks at her and I'm like, stand up for yourself, Shannon. And Shannon goes, really? Really? Tamara goes, yeah. And then Shannon goes, okay, now I want to give you a hug, and gets up to hug Shannon. This is what I'm saying. Don't, Shannon. Protect yourself. This is not good. Run back to the bathroom. Don't. And then they hug and he's crying and like, I love you too. And Tamara's like, I want what's best for you. I know you're going through so much and I know you're heartbroken as well, but I don't want to make things worse. And Shannon's like, okay, let's not make things worse. Tamara goes, and I do apologize for yelling at you at Gina's dinner. And Shannon goes, I apologize for hurting you. I never want to hurt anybody, Tamara. I don't. And then Tamara goes, next time, let's put the boxing gloves on and go hee-ho, which is another reason why it is called The Gloves Are Off. Wow, we put it together. And she does this like boxing thing and trying to be silly. It's like two hot-headed blondes. Next time on The Real Housewives of Orange County, we see Shane getting a spray tan by Emily. We see Shannon Bedore learning how to blow into her breathalyzer to start her car, which is got to be intense. Then we see, we see Freddie Mellencamp. This must be Tamara's Wednesday party, and Freddie, it's your big moment. It's got to be nervous. Says, welcome, Housewives and Vicky. Heyo. And Vicky's like, she's a fucking bitch. Then Teddy's like, let the game begin. So it must be like a Traitors little ripoff or something. And then we see Jen Pedranti and Emily getting into a kind of a little tiff saying like, Emily, you value bank accounts. That's bullshit. And then we see Shannon with Vicky and Tamara, and Shannon's like all hyped and going, so they're saying we'll drop the lawsuit if you say this. I'm not going to fucking lie. That's fucking blackmail. Exactly what I've been saying the last 2 episodes. That's fucking blackmail. Oh, I'm excited to see where this goes. You guys, it's not over yet because I already recorded the mid-season trailer, which is our little road guide or our map to what the rest of the season potentially holds for us. And it's pretty good. So that's right directly after this. But thank you for being here. I've got to learn to do these faster, but I just get so into it. And I got to stop apologizing for everything I do. Anyways, you guys, thank you for being here. Stay tuned right now in this supersized episode for the mid-season trailer reaction, and then come back on Monday for a new pop culture roundup. Have 2 new episodes over on Patreon. So join us at patreon.com/so bad it's good. And I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Bye.